give them last year? How much we give them last year? 135?
125.
125?
I believe it's 125.
Well, I hope we can
now
get
you
you.
asked me and I can't remember. I think Jeff put in to bump it up by 5,000 in that.
Yeah. How much do y'all need out there, though, y'all?
What the pitch you're going to get is for some capital items that are best bought as a group and everything about $2 million.
Yeah.
And it's broken into 4 different deals, so you
Yeah,
can
well, they were talking to me about the fire tax and counting for the cost of that brush truck and prorate that you wouldn't get any more money. And
Oh, is that what they wanted to do?
Anyway, no, I'm kidding about that.
I tried to bring y'all a good deal.
It was a good deal.
I think you'll find out if you buy any more of them how good a deal you got.
Yeah. Is it all serviced and ready?
Oh yeah, it's been raining, so there haven't been any grass fires, but it has put one fire out.
Hey, listen, I'm hoping we don't have to use it. That's why we got it. Let me tell you, we have a couple of 100-acre stockpiles at the range. They're full of land. That's the most beautiful sight.
Yes.
Is to see. Is to see a
like Ireland over here.
That's right. Is to see. Mike McCann. Mike.
Good to see you.
Mike. Mike. I can hear you now. That's all. Well, it's all right. It's 9 o'clock. Everybody's here. We're going to go ahead and start, and we're going to let Chief Becker go ahead and give the invocation here this morning. Is that deal? Can I assign it to him?
Orange hat.
No. Yeah. We'll do it that way because the acoustics in here are so bad. We couldn't hear you anyway. But thanks for the thought, okay?
Thanks, sir.
But just don't let it happen again, okay? But back in the central jury room tomorrow at 10. Okay? Be there, be square. Okay, buddy. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Today is a special called workshop meeting of the Commissioners Court of Hood County, Texas. Today is Wednesday, June the 11th. It's 9 a.m. We're in the historical courthouse at the second floor courtroom at 100 East Pearl Street in Granbury, Texas. I would like to call upon Chief Becker here to give us the invocation here this morning. How about that?
Heavenly Father, Lord, we appreciate so much the blessings you give us, the great community that you give us to live in. And I want to thank you for those that invest their time in various jobs to try to make this a better place. Thank you for giving us and giving our leadership wisdom that they need to steer our community. And I pray that everything you hear and say that we do today will meet with your approval. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 If you would please join me in the Pledge to the United States. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the pledge to the great state of Texas.
Honor Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right. Okay. The only item on the agenda this morning is Fire Department status update and discussion on capital project request. And I'm sure there are numerous of them. I'm casting out there and I can see those hungry eyes out there. Anyway, our Fire Marshal, you want to kick it off?
Judge, Commissioners, ordinarily I would be the person that would come and submit their capital request through that process after we were budget hearings. I wanted to give them the opportunity to come and present capital request, so that they have the opportunity to speak with you, answer the questions that you might have, and explain why it is they need these items. Chief Becker, you got voluntold kind of to do the presentation for kind of the bulk items. So there's certain things that all departments need some more of, and that's the part he's going to present, and then we'll call up each department so they can kind of explain what their specific need is over and above what the others are. So that being said, once Chief Becker gets done with his part, we'll call up the departments. Probably we'll start with 10, 20, 30, and so on, and go from there. So that was kind of the purpose. I wanted them to have the opportunity to present to you what it is their needs are, and you to have the opportunity to ask them any questions as to why they might need those items. So that's why I asked for you.
I think it's a good idea. Chief Becker.
Well, gentlemen, ladies, I look back, it was about 4 years ago we did something similar to this. Several of you remember, I gave you a handout and kind of gave you a comparison of what we were doing versus other areas, departments. And the first thing I'm here to do is to say thank you to you guys. And forgive me, the net guys to me goes all across the board. But there were kind of 3 things we told you that we thought we were in need of. We were in desperate need of help with air packs. Y'all jumped on that real quick. We told you guys that we were in need of additional large tanker trucks to haul water around. Y'all have done that. In typical fashion these days, you don't have them yet, but they're ordered, and you listened to us, you saw the need, and you acted on it. We told you that several of our facilities were in need of expansion or different things, and through ARPA money primarily, you heard us, and you pretty well addressed those. Some of those are pretty well finished up, some are in progress in various stages, but the bulk of the departments are participating in the facilities stuff that is going on. And and on top of that, you recognize that there were individual needs for different departments, and you have consistently bumped our contract payment or our subsidy up each year. And I think the recommendation is to come up another $5,000 next year, which is really just kind of covering inflation for us. And I want to tell you what you've done with us and what the departments have done has really made a big difference over the last 4 years. The common thing that everybody says is volunteer fire departments are dead, they're on the way out. And I'm old enough to remember President Kennedy when he said, he stood in Berlin and people were saying, well, communism does this and does this, and he says, let them come to Berlin. Let them come to Berlin. And I would tell those that say the model that Hood County has adopted is dead. Let them come to Hood County and see what's going on. Part of what you're going to hear from both me and the other departments, we are attracting volunteers across the board. My department, Granbury's department, you probably have between us two, both size-wise, we're both probably in the top 10 to 15 size-wise volunteer departments in the whole state of Texas. What you have done for us is that when somebody comes to consider being a volunteer firefighter, we're able to demonstrably show that the leadership is behind what we're trying to do. They look and see your facilities are getting improved, Your equipment is improving. These guys want us and they need us. And that's kind of a partnership thing between what departments do, trying to recruit new folks, and what you've done with it for us too. So I think the partnership, the model that you got going, looks to me to be a pretty good model. I'll show you kind of comparisons once again with different models, but those are not so much fire department questions as voter questions as to which is the right way to address this stuff. I was at to illustrate to you how good the job is going on, I was at a Tarrant County meeting last night. And you know, when you drive into Denver on the left, there's the Bella Ranch and the Bella Floras and everything, just the other side of this Flats. And there were people that stood up there. And remember, now we're talking over in Tarrant County, where they're pumping lots of money into a lot of those fire departments. And they got people there that are claiming their insurance has been canceled and they can't get it again because of the challenge on fire service over there. And I'm sure that there's everybody in the room has their own insurance story and challenges, but by and large, what you guys have put together has pretty well dodged that for your voters. I gave you a handout, and what I chose to do this time in comparison to 4 years ago, Parker County Emergency Service District Number 1, Parker County VFD 1, runs from Highway 377 along the east side of Parker County and around the north side. I will tell you that it is viewed very, very favorably in the fire department ranks for the job that they are doing. Their chief is a great guy. He and I will trade notes and ideas periodically. And I want you to know that probably if you said, how would you run a semi-rural fire department and you're starting from scratch, who would you go ask how you're doing it? And he would be one of the people you would want to go visit with. They are essentially a fully paid organization in contrast to us. And as you can see on the little handout, I think that they are sort of similar in workload. They have roughly 15,000 more people than Hood County does. But Hood County has 100 square miles more to cover, a little more rural than the suburbs of Fort Worth. Rough property value, and all I did here, let me kind of caution you, if you put an auditor of these numbers, it can't be back into. So I should put estimated across this whole thing, but I certainly believe these are directionally correct. The property value that your 9 fire departments are charged with protection is about $9 billion. All I did was took your tax rate and multiplied it back. So your taxable assessed value in your current budget is about that. ESD1s is a little bit more. The call volume is fairly similar with, Jeff tells me that all 9 departments last calendar year, that's for 2024, about 7,400 calls. ESD1 had about 6,600. And we have more stations. You would expect that. We've got an extra 100 square miles that we're charged with protecting. But I think you can conclude from those statistics that we are roughly doing the same type of work, roughly. On the EMS side, they, similar to us, are first responders, where we try to get there and take care of someone until the ambulance can get there and take the load off the ambulance when we can. They continue to be a basic life support organization, whereas 6 of your 8 departments that first respond or advanced paramedic life support. And I totaled up for you roughly the number of EMS personnel for Hood County, and I'll tell you that's a number that is really hard to say is a real accurate. Department of State Health Services, every 2 years when we review, you turn in a roster. That roster doesn't get updated for 2 years, but that's where I pull these numbers from. I want you to know on the EMS side, we've got a EMT class going on right now. We've got 24 students in it. And one of the things that we try to do is the things that we as either the Firefighters Association or individual departments with the funding that organization runs off of donations. We haven't had to come to you to ask you to help us train our EMTs. We're doing that through donations and running that class right now. And you can see on the numbers, 24 EMTs, the kind of impact that can have. I think that's important to a place like Hood County because we all understand the stress that Texas EMS is under. And a lot of times what we can do is take some of that stress off of them when they get really busy. The big line that you want to focus on now is, and this comes from their website, Parker ESD1, about a $17 million budget, and whereas the operating budget for Hood is about $3.5 million, and that includes all your budget line for our subsidies. I took half of the fire marshal's office and said he spends half his time worrying with us, and then I tried to backdoor into the debt service on the $7+ million that you borrowed for the trucks. All I did was I took what your opening started the year almost $10 million debt that you showed and what your debt service line was and ratioed that. So that may be off a little bit, but it's direction that kind of gives you an idea. And what you can see is that what you are delivering to your Hood County taxpayers is an organization that costs about $13 million less than what they do. Now, they are continually hiring and building new stations. They don't think that they're where they need to be yet. So that gap going forward is going to continually be increasing. And as you would expect, the big part of that difference, about $11 million of that $13 million is in their personnel cost. And the only thing that I took for personnel here was the half of what for the fire marshal's office plus y'all pay for our workers' comp insurance. So that's kind of what's on the Hood County personnel line. So and on debt service, you know, they build the kind of fire stations that, and I apologize to you when you took my advice and got a consultant and came out and said we needed all these really fancy fire stations.
It's good information, so.
Yeah, that one you can blame me for. But their debt service and capital expenditures will be higher than what that calculated for us. So I think what that shows you is that if you believe that from some of the statistics it's a reasonable comparison of their organization to ours, what you're getting for what you're investing in. Now, the big thing that people will say, yeah, but you're losing response time. And you'll hear that. And that is true. They're sitting there right by their fire trucks. Some of us have people sitting in the station or doing chores at the station ready to go. Some don't. They did a award banquet recently in their station with the fastest turnout time last year was a 46-second time. In other words, when you're told to get going until the truck is rolling, 46 seconds. I'm not sure on the other guys, some of them may be ahead of us, but I pulled up year to date what Preston's turnout time is for our first truck to be rolling on a Hood County call, and it's 113 seconds. So what you are doing, if you will, by this analysis is you are saying that it would cost $13 million to get a truck out roughly a minute earlier. And that's a question that you can say, well, is that worth it or not? I would say there may be 1 or 2 calls a year it is. But across the board, that's a real expensive minute. And this is what you're getting. And I did this backdoor into with your current budget, and what you wanted to do was put $13 million more toward your fire service in Hood County. You're going to need to up the tax rate about 15 cents to over 40 cents. So this is the model that up till now you've chosen. You guys are better able to read your electorate than I will tell you, ESD1, as best I can recall, has lost 1 election, and they had jurisdictions and areas come to them and say, please include us in it. They started out just with Springtown and then have grown as Toledo, Park, Coulthouze, Easter. They currently have a petition from the northeast part of the county, and people have voted. The voters over there said this is what we would like to have. And they did lose 1 election for a tax increase, but they came back the next time and it passed. So their voters have kind of spoken and said, we won't spend this money if you can try to draw that conclusion. You've got a different set of voters. And I don't have to tell you, I'm in a Lido school district. We're working through our last bond. Parker has passed the transportation bond. They're doing this. Rural taxpayer in Hood County pays 2/3 the property tax the rural taxpayer in Parker County does. So that's kind of where the people that vote over there have said this is what we want to do, but I don't have to tell you the history of bond or tax increases over the past few years in Hood County, but I don't think your electorate, it seems to feel the same way, just for me being on the Parker County side of the fence looking over. So I hope that kind of gives you a little bit of perspective of what we have done with what you've helped us with for the past 4 years, where we are in general. Are we getting everything right? Of course not. Are we stubbing our toe? I tell you, Preston messes up every call we go out. But I'll tell you, when you talk about populating these fire departments, the last year or 2 in some of our chiefs' discussion, we've had a discussion that you would never believe we would be having. And we've talked about how on some of our big fires, we've got too many people. And I think that's a compliment to us and to you to even be able, the fact that we're having that type of a discussion, because that's what you're getting for what you've invested. I'll stop right there and ask you, this kind of gives you an overall view of what we've accomplished together in the past 4 years, and a little bit of a feel for where we are. And then what I would like to do, if you don't have it, once I've taken any questions that you have, there's about 4 possible capital items that are better addressed in bulk and are related to the fact that we've got more personnel, as I've described. And I want to run through those with you, and then what we would like to do is let each department take a little bit of your time and give you a little bit of insight as to what's going on with them. And each of them probably has some unique things that they might want you to consider, but the things that we can put all together we have. So before I move into kind of a little bit of capital request, do you have questions for me about kind of where our organizations are in total?
I think it's excellent. You did an excellent job. Good comparison.
Yeah, I'll pitch in a little bit here. I think you touched on a couple of things that were pretty being involved and my perspective on things. I know the first time I walked through the door at Lipan and saw red, shiny equipment, and I remember at that moment looking up there going, this is real. This is not, hillbillies in a pickup truck with tow sacks. This is an actual department that's here to serve and protect, and that as a way of drawing me in, I felt that. I felt that this was an organization to belong to. So I think that as far as a recruitment or retention is important. I think the equipment, to know that we're operating with safe equipment whenever we're going into a dangerous job here, there's a comfort in seeing that equipment is up to standard. I think that's very important part of this. And you also touched on too many firefighters sometimes, and how do you put a price on that? This is hard work. Get out in a fire and you've been out there for 5 or 6 hours and you got to go roll up all that hose in the mud and the ash and you're tired and ready to go home. To have enough people there to take up for that's huge. And I don't know what that budget, if you took these numbers and said this is how many people we typically have show up on a call, what would it take to put paid people, that many paid people on these things? That number would be astronomical. I think the value that this county gets in emergency services is amazing.
On any given day, Hartford County has about ESD1 has maybe 30 or so people in the field, 30 or 40 people in the field. And it can vary from fire to fire to fire, but we could easily put 30 to 40 people on fire.
I bet there's been car wrecks. We've had 30 or 40 people on that.
or something like that. And people still, that's not with us exhausting all our resources. So while I argue that maybe this is a comparison, we've got deeper pockets people-wise than they do.
Yeah, for sure. And the training. I mean, I don't know what you can say about what you guys have done with the volunteer system to get everybody trained up and up to speed. It's, I know SFFMA is taking notice to what's going on here.
You guys have helped. Granbury kind of took it. We've got that fire training facility. You see, every semester they run one of those classes. We'll have 30, 40 people running through it and acting aggressive a little bit better. There's nowhere else that's doing that. There just isn't. I mean, part of those people, you'll see them coming for miles to come participate in this. I'll kind of tell you a couple of little vignettes, if you will. We had a fire a while back where it was not in our area, it was in an adjoining area, not in the Lagoon County area, and we were asked to help one of the paid departments over there, and the fire did not go good. It was a total loss, and the firefighters who were in charge of the fire also, well, there was just nothing we could do. This doing the same job. He said, we care. And I can tell you the names of the people whose houses burned down in my area. I can tell you the names of the people that we run these medical calls on. I go in to them and they say, oh, you're back. And these guys can too. And I don't know how you put a price tag on that, but you've got an organization that isn't just doing this to turn the crank. They're doing it because they care. And we attract people to my department and some of the others that don't live in the mid-county because of what they see here. I can tell you in Crescent, 3 or 4 of our officers joined my department. They did live in Crescent, and they've since pulled up stakes and moved there, purely to try to be doing this sort of stuff. Now, there's something there. I don't know how you price that, like you say, Kevin, but you all have heard me tell you before, you've got something special, and if you don't feed it, let it get sick, you'll never get it back. And you're different than other places. And this is one way to illustrate how you're different. Think any other comments, questions for me before I move on?
I just, we spoke a couple of minutes before this meeting, and I guess, and I asked you this question, we had a situation a few years back where there was rumblings about an ESD here, and we went, or at least speaking for this commissioner, went and polled all the volunteer fire departments and talked to you and other folks who are in the county about this, and the consensus that I gleaned at that time was that in general the volunteer fire departments did not they wanted to keep operating. They always need more money, so that's a given. I get that part, but the way let me finish, then you can have it. The way I gleaned that was that, generally speaking, you guys are the ones in the field. You're the guys that do it, and I come to you and trust what you tell me. And when you tell me that you're not ready for that, and you're doing the job, and we're talking even the numbers that you've given us, then I have to go, well, maybe out of all the things that we do in government, maybe we're doing one thing right with you guys, and you're volunteers. So the punchline is this: are there rumblings amongst all the volunteer fire departments now that they want to go and look into an ESD here in Hood County?
You can ask each one when they come up. My opinion has not changed. Last time, 4 years ago, I told you I'm contracted, Crescent's contracted with 3 different ESDs. I told you what I thought were the strengths and weaknesses of it, and I told you that my observation was that if that was the route that your voters wanted to go and add that tax to what they're paid, that you didn't want to end up with 9 individual ones of them trying to come up with 45 commissioners and stuff like that. The model that you have adopted is pretty similar to an ESD, where you guys are ESD commissioners, because what goes on in the ESD is there's 5 appointed commissioners, and they meet every month. Now, granted, they're only focused on fire service stuff, and they have more financial resources. There's no doubt about that. And they decide how things are done. Departments, every one of you, if these guys live in Hood County, they get to vote for one of y'all and for the judge. Granted, I live across the line, so I vote for a different one, but on the ESD, the commissioners, they ones that the county commissioners say this is who you get. They may or may not be in tune with the electric, and so ESDs has some real strengths. From a fire chief standpoint, they're wonderful, because what's more wonderful than a lot of money that you can't do anything else with, and that's what you have. From a government standpoint, I changed and put my mayor's hat on. I'm not so sure that it's the best model to say, here's a bunch of money, unless it was voted, this is for a bomb for this particular purpose, then that's all you can do. I mean, I think all of us understand if the courthouse burns down and Granbury doesn't do a good job putting the fire out, y'all have a big problem. And you may have to say, hey, fire departments, I can't do this year because I've got that. That's not what you have when you've got a mandatory spend description and all like that. Fire department wise, wonderful. We get it. And I think you guys are better plugged into, and that's your county commissioners or city councils, no matter where they are better plugged into the electorate than an isolated ESD commissioner, perhaps.
So one of the things that stands out with the information you gave us, go back to the meeting 4 years ago, May 21st, 2021.
Yes.
The data that was provided said that it took 10 entities around that had paid fire departments. At that point, the numbers indicated 86+% went to personnel. Now this one, for ESD1, Parker County ESD1, is only 74%. So evidently they're managing things a little bit better than what the data was 4 years ago, but that's still significant. 74% of that budget, the 16 million, is personnel.
Y'all are familiar with Venus over there east of Alvarado. Venus is a kind of a combination department that is put on paid people. And I looked at Venus's, I started to kind of update what I had done last time. I thought maybe this was a different look. It might be a little different way of looking at things. Even Venus now, with like 2 or 3 guys on it, was like 90% personnel costs. So and I don't have to tell you, personnel costs never go down. They go up. Now, our costs are going up on everything that we're doing too, but once you bring that personnel on, whatever you brought them on for, that's not what you're going to be paying in a year or 2 or 3. And a little bit of difference, when you spend money on a truck or something like that, tomorrow it's that. When you spend money on personnel, yeah, you had them for the day before when you paid for it. But great, that's in the past. The money flew out and it's in the past. And you all handle lots of personnel. You know what I'm talking about. And in my business career at the peak, I had 35,000 people working for me. The job I had before I went into that one, I had about 20 working for me. Give me the job with 20 people rather than 35,000, I will tell you. So, I don't know if that adds on or expands on what you were asking me. Like I say, each one of these departments wants a chance to kind of update you on what's going on. You can ask each one of them. I don't believe we've rehearsed anything at all.
Well, you know what we said the last time about that personnel cost on the deal? It is so astronomical compared to anything else. But if you're volunteering and putting your life on the line, you deserve to have the best equipment, like the air pack deal. Everybody, I think it was unanimous on there to get that done and get it done immediately. give you the best equipment you possibly can have, the best communications you can possibly have. The least you're doing, you're putting your time away from your family and giving it free to the county. We owe that to you to keep that. In fact, just look at the numbers here of what we got here. I mean, we owe that to the volunteer fire department, like you said, to keep it up. If you're volunteering up here, there's a brotherhood here that we need to keep going. And if you got good equipment, good accommodations, that just improves the morale, and people want to do that. Say you got too many people come to a fire, that's good. A lot too many than not enough. But I know, speaking for myself, I'm very pro getting the equipment and whatever we can do to you guys because of what you do for this community. That's my feeling. So, and this really points it out again. You can't lie about this. This is just what it is. It's the cost of personnel if you have to pay for firefighters. And you know, somebody volunteering in the community and that's your neighbor there, that's a little bit different than somebody maybe living someplace else and just spending 3 days a week or something in this county and not knowing anybody. But that's how I start. I'm anxious to hear about everybody else.
I just want to first just thank all of you for your dedication and the outstanding job that you do.
Okay, with that.
No, I wasn't finished yet. That's okay. I wanted to also just commend our community in all the volunteerism, if you want to say it that way. We have people that volunteer for fire service, but when you guys call out for, hey, we need supplies, the next day your station's going to be filled with bottles of water, cases of Gatorade, whatever it is you need. And I think that says a lot for our community, that we respect what you do and we thank you.
Yeah, and I'll throw this in before the people start coming up, that, you know, the judge and I disagree all the time, but right here, right now, in this context, we agree wholeheartedly.
All right. There are kind of 4 items that all of our departments say that we're in need of, and these are not items that you've never heard of before. And I'm going to preface it by saying the ask here is driven by more people. That's a big part of why we're saying we need more of some of the same equipment. And it's driven by the fact that some of this equipment has a useful life. And some of it is, you're on the treadmill and you're always having to replace. We tried to isolate down the items that we feel like are best purchased as a group. The one thing that you probably question is with the subsidy money that you've given us, by and large, our departments say we've been able to use that to buy the coats and pants and stuff for our folks, so you don't see that, though we've got more people. Some of the departments may be in need of a little help there when they come up, but as a group, we're not here this time saying we need that. But we can do a lot better if the 9 of us, where Jeff can go and say, hey, I need to buy this, and he's got a fairly big order that each of us kind of do it on our own. And all of these items fall in that category. I know y'all are sick and tired of talking about radios.
About what?
Radios, and radio system and all like that. You've been good to us. We've obviously switched over to the new Granbury system, and what a lot of us have found that helps us a lot is some of us do assign some of these portable radios to our officers. I can illustrate that when you talk the EMS side, like you come to Crescent, there's not one EMS station, there's 20. Because if I live next door to Kevin and the call comes in, Kevin is having a heart attack, I don't go to the station, I go right next door and start pumping on his chest. And that is a strength of your first responder volunteer EMS response system that you lose when you have, okay, the only people who are coming have got to come from this station 5 miles away or something. And both the ability to make those communications work seamlessly with the right people and the fact that we are adding apparatus, which is more seats and everything. Even though you've been good with us buying radios, several of us are still a little short on that. We're not talking about anything different than really what you've already done. It's just the growth in the number of people, and what we're asked to do is driving that.
I have a question on the radio. So does the 15 per department, the cost there, does that include the microphones that are
It's
rated for fire?
Yes, ma'am. Those are in there, and I think these are all numbers that purchasing can beat, but I could be wrong. This is assuming $7,000 per radio with the right types of microphones.
Okay, because I have heard we have some
Yes.
that aren't rated for fire.
This is only me talking. I get burned every time I try to cut a corner on the radio.
Was that a intended pun or?
No. There are places where I will say, oh, this is less cost, let's do this. Radio equipment, every time I've tried to say I can get by with something else, down the road, it turns out I made a mistake.
I just wanted to be sure that it included the right rated.
Yes,
mics.
it attempted to, hopefully equipment. The air bottles that we carry on our back, those have a life, basically 15 years. And all of us have some of these that are turning over.
Fire call on or what? Is that computer?
I sure didn't need to say this courthouse was going to burn down, are we?
It's not the fire alarm, that's my question.
Thank you.
So lots of us have these turning over. Now, I will tell you this, in our conversations between us as chiefs, we estimated, put down kind of what the average department was needing. Some departments need a few more, some need a few less, and we're good. You know, those that need less are saying we'll give more to the more. When you use the word relative, we're not going to have one department short and the other one with a bunch sitting on the shelf, but this gives a little bit of a perspective. The other thing about that is this is probably an item that needs to start being considered annually, you know, because this is going to turn over.
The cycle, it's like, you know, bulletproof vests for law enforcement, they have a life cycle, and you've got to continue to, you know, replenish.
Yeah, same type of concept.
Yep.
While we have been, you all added to our air packs a few years ago when we did it, many of us have added a truck or two since then, and we've got air packs that are also expiring that were over and above what we've added, and it kind of those are pricey. And the prices up a good 40, 50, 60% from what we did 4 years ago. That's one of our challenges is everything we're touching, the cost is soaring on. And we got that need. And then finally we put down here the thermal imager cameras. You can say we should be able to swing those $4,500 a piece, but that's something that if we buy it as a group, we can probably do a little bit better with. If you're not familiar, those are the tools that we carry to show where the heat is, so that if there's a fire, we can look at your wall and say, oops, here it is, so we don't tear this part of the wall out when the fire's over here. It's a real safety issue too, because we would like to have these for when your interior crew goes in. We try to carry one on the interior crew so that you have a perspective when you can't see through the smoke and you can make what you're dealing with. These 4 bulk items would be a little over $2 million by our estimate of potential capital need that we've got right now. I guess I would say these are prioritized 1, 2, 3, 4 for you, but you can see why all of these would be the sort of things that are better done as a group than individually. The last thing I'll say before we turn the floor over to all these departments is we do know we know what the lead time has been on the tankers that we bought. The refurbishing project on the pumper tankers was probably a good idea, although every one of us, it hasn't been perfect. Every one of our refurbishments has a hiccup here or a hiccup there, some more serious than others. It's obvious those pumper tankers are not going to make another refurbishment. And they were never intended to when we did the refurbishment. I think it was a wise thing to do. We're running, we're using them, but we're going to have to start putting on our thinking cap about that those things they may not make the extra 10 years that we were hoping for with the refurbishment. And I would say this year that we want to get it on the radar that those trucks are out there and going to need to be considered coming up before too long. With that, unless you have any other comments or questions for us, we number our departments 1 through 9, and so that's our order. Granbury always has to be first, so if you've got nothing more from me, Chief Mohon is here to answer any questions about what's going on in Granbury and tell you anything else that he thinks you can do to help you.
Come on up, Chief. Is that mic hot, or are you going?
I don't know if that one's working. This one is. Try it real quick. Does it have a green file?
It does not.
Touch the,
Doesn't. Check.
yep.
Is that, Alicia, can you pick that up?
Try that. Alrighty, Court, appreciate your time. I always enjoy these opportunities to speak because it's not often that we get a chance to brag about everyone in Hood County and all the entities that support the VFDs. And one thing I want to start off with highlighting is just briefly, unfortunately for everyone, Ron's long-winded and I don't shut up, so it's a bad compliment. I want to highlight for everyone the ISO 2 rating that we got. That's not just a city rating, that applies to the county. Okay, if you're within 5 road miles of the GVFD stations, you're covered under an ISO 2 rating. Why do you care about that? That rating is factored into your total insurance cost. You get a public safety classification, and you get a savings for the higher rating, or in this case, lower rating that you have. If your insurance, you might actually physically call your insurance company and make sure that they're recognizing the ISO classification, because it didn't come out until April. And the state, with the Texas Department of Insurance, typically doesn't just automatically update. The insurance companies won't automatically update until your policy's renewed. So if your policy renewed in May, well, you could be writing a full year without getting some extra discounts in towards your insurance. The subsidy and the consideration of the court has significantly aided our organization. One of the bigger places where it's made a huge impact is at the training field. I truly believe that training is the single most important thing for any VFD out there. It's by far the most important thing. Our last academy had 72 registered, we graduated 60. And that's, at this point, it's up to the students to actually get their certifications, okay, their tests, but they've done all the groundwork. They can immediately go out there and complete the certification. The benefit that it's made to our organization and the organizations around us are, it's hard to truly describe the impact that it's had over the years. And we talk about having too many people on scene. This is part of that. People are able to join an organization, they find purpose, they find training, and they find the departments are adequately equipped to be able to respond to the calls, and they actually are able to go out there and perform the whole purpose of them joining the organization, protecting their community, and making a difference. The training is just the single most important part of this equation. At the core of it, it is the heartstrings. One of the bigger things that we were talking about earlier was just the physical cost. This does not apply to all the other Hood County departments, but from a Granbury's perspective, the physical cost is, our budget's about $1.3 billion a year. If you're going to go with the career department, you need to be able to at least put the amount of people on scene that the volunteers are putting on scene. That equates to a current tax rate of 38.5 cents to going to 60.5 cents, or 57% tax increase. One department, one line item, 57%. That's the cost. And those numbers are old. Those numbers are 2 years old. They're higher now. And the tax rate's the same, because I know it's still 38.5. That's just one area. So that's the cost. Does that mean that we shouldn't challenge our organizations and ask, are you meeting a standard? Are you hitting goals? Are you meeting expectations? Are you being fiscally responsible? Absolutely, we should be asked these questions and we should be challenged on it. But I will also, in the report, say, look at the scenes. Look at the responses. It's there. It's highly qualified and it's highly viable service. Just a couple of months ago, we did an exceedingly difficult and technical rescue here in Granbury. And that wasn't just Granbury that did that rescue. It was North Hood County also. Okay? The training that we provide makes a difference. The county and the city are covering the basis for the fiscal needs. Facts. Okay? And we can't appreciate the court enough for your time, energy, and effort that you do allocate for the organizations. The challenges that we face are the physical cost, and then ultimately the growth of our areas. Now, I always hear this in my traveling, particularly with my job. How are you not paid? The city's too big, the county's too big. Pasadena, Texas has 150,000 people, and they are volunteer. They also cover the largest petrochemical complex in the world. They are volunteer. Their neighbor to the south, League City, has 116,000 people. They are volunteer. You can be volunteer even through growth, even through complex. What it requires is a commitment by the organizations and a commitment by the funding entities. And unfortunately, you can't fund a department that size with 400 members and 17 stations off of cake sales and brisket sales. There has to be a consistent funding line item there, and Hood County's meeting that. This is exceedingly rare, not just in the state of Texas, but even nationwide. And that would be the one thing I would encourage not only our local VFDs, but our court to look at too. See if you have a twin out there. They'll be hard to find. We were talking about Granbury's ISO 2 rating, how common that is. There's only one other volunteer fire department in North America that's an ISO 2. We just found it there in Connecticut, and we got ours first. Okay? It's rare. It takes a lot of commitment. Now, moving forward, our capital requests are going to be strictly based off of cost, and then another major factor is just geography. We have currently one gigantic geographic barrier in Hood County. It's the lake. There's only 2 ways across the lake. Well, drop down to on 3. But from my perspective, 2. And the issue is that we're going to have a second geographical barrier whenever it starts. And I know it's not next week, but whenever the 377 project starts, that's going to be another barrier. So we're going to have an east-west barrier, but now we're going to have a north-south barrier. My capital request is going to be for 2 engines, pumper tankers, that we currently have spec. Each engine would be on the east and west side of the lake. Current price on those apparatus is $1,080,000. Unfortunately, time's not on our side on the price. These apparatus are going to continue to go up and up in price. The other kind of hidden monster with this is the delivery times of the apparatus. I did do some checking on these 2 trucks. If the county was able to pull the purse strings on it and make it work in current budgets and future budgets, these trucks can probably be tacked on to the current order that the county already has for these apparatus, and the delivery time of these trucks would be just a few months after the current trucks that are delivering mid-summer of 2026. That used to be a real common feature in truck productions is that large cities, large entities, they place truck orders and then continue to tack trucks into those orders as times went on. We wouldn't want to change the spec. There's nothing like that. The spec that the county has is perfectly fine, and it would just plug and play in there. And our last major consideration in that is, remember that we have the combo EMS fire stations. And being able to put one of these engines out there on the loop, and then one of these engines at station, either station 3 or 2, because of the amount of growth of Granbury that's physically happening on the east side of the county, and into Day Cordova, and into Creston. And then there on the north side of, we'll call it Temple Hall Highway and Station 20's area. And these are all areas that we mutual aid into all the time. And the consideration of the 2 trucks is just strictly because in X amount of time, we physically will not be able to move beyond our assigned quadrants, trying to get across 377 or try and get across the lake. The other hazard with that is even if you do get across, how do you get back across in an appropriate amount of time? And that is our capital request and our considerations for that capital request. Any questions?
You've got a station going in on Highway 4, it'll be a joint EMS fire, that's already, the property's already bought. We've already met with TxDOT, getting ready to put the culvert in and getting ready to set it up. So that one is happening.
Okay.
And just as a side note, Acton Highway and Highway 4, the red light is being installed, and it'll be hopefully be installed before the 4th of July even.
Okay.
So
Very good.
That curve is at least 1 or 2 wrecks a month that are major, not minors, majors. And so that is coming, but the fire station, EMS station that's going in on 4 is basically right across the street from David's, right behind the archery shop. Right there is where that one is going. And that's already done, it's already in the works.
Okay. Excellent.
So just to clarify on the trucks that were ordered at the end of 23, the delivery date is,
The ones we currently have on?
yes.
I don't know that they've given me a solid date yet. I don't know that any of those trucks have even gone into engineering yet. Last time I checked, they're probably still a year out.
Okay, because you had mentioned at the same time around June of 2026, so
Right.
June, July. So I was just taking from that the expectation is that the trucks that were ordered at the end of 2023 are not going to be delivered until mid next year.
Maybe early next year. I'll call and get an update.
Okay.
Yeah, the truck delivery problems, that's not just our problem, that's a nationwide problem. The truck that the county purchased through the same process, that truck that we got wasn't part of the tanker pumpers, that was a quick attack truck. That truck's not gonna deliver until probably the end of 26. A year before that, the city had purchased a ladder truck and it's not gonna deliver until probably the end of 26. So, the delivery times on apparatus are colossal. And that's the bigger problem for particularly the government entities is we're talking about trying to make a purchase 4 years, 3 years before it delivers. And that's a very unique challenge.
What's the lead time on the refurbishing of the pumper tankers? What's that running now?
Forever?
Well, at this point, when we decided to buy the last round of trucks, I couldn't even get them to have a conversation with me about putting one in the refurb. So the last truck we had refurb, I believe, was 26. And they finally got that one right. They got it within the time frame. They got the most all of the work done that we'd asked for. The guy that they put on the trucks to do the refurbs, he fell and broke his leg. In the process of recovery, developed a blood clot and died of a heart attack. The guy that I was dealing with, talking to set up these refurbs, he retired. I can't even get anybody in rep to talk to me now about scheduling a refurb, and that's how long it's going to take to do it.
The physical cost of the refurb, and I truly don't know what they are now, but at the time when we were doing the refurbs, the new tanker pumper was approximately right at $500,000, and the refurbs were $315,000. 25? 325?
I think the last one was about 350.
Okay. So for a savings of $150,000, the truck's gone for approximately 6 months, and you only gain 5 years on that refurb. Whereas with new apparatus, Granbury and Hood County's departments have shown that we're taking the trucks to 20 years or more, and through maintenance, getting that good life extension and span of those apparatus. The other problem that we're running into currently with the refurbs is that these trucks are now truly getting old, and it's hard actually finding parts. Where common parts 5-10 years ago would have been, for example, $1,000, now they're rare, they're $5,000. I know of a department that just had an air conditioning compressor go out, and it's a special compressor. Well, it's 25 years old. You're going to get a 25-year premium on that. That's a new kind of hook in this. It's just the physical age of the trucks. The parts are getting expensive and hard to find.
Well, to put that in perspective, Indian Harbor just had some work done on their truck. their truck was having some issues. They went in to have all the issues done, and I'm gonna call it a refurb light, because they did a lot of the work that we were doing in refurb. They didn't get new interior, and they didn't get new paint job, and their repairs were $54,000. So I just got a letter Monday from the department. They're going to come to the board and ask us to be reimbursed for their repair. But again, that's $54,000 of repair on a 25-year-old truck. And then, right after they got it back, I think the pump started, but they just failed the pump test. So we're currently trying to figure out what the best option is for that truck now. I think they were going to try to do some exploratory repair issues with that pump, see if we can get that to pass a pump test. But I can tell you from experience, well, I can tell you from experience 5 years ago, rebuilding a pump is probably going to be another $45,000. So we'll be almost $105,000 with a 25-year-old truck just to keep it up and running.
Is there an issue or not even a good idea to possibly look at deserviced federal firefighting equipment and see what kind of status they're in?
So I'm on that surplus email from the government, and a lot of the trucks that I've seen on those emails look like they would be doing GM pieces.
Okay, I mean,
I've looked at several of them that come through that surplus program,
right?
And they're, I mean, even in the description it says may or may not work.
Okay, I mean that's just looking at whatever options are possibly out there. I mean, what can we do? Because
right.
I'm on the access to federal surplus in Fort Worth, and I've seen 3 units up there that I didn't even pay a whole lot of attention other than notice that they were there. But I'm just I don't know what the status is of them. Right. We can look.
So another hard part about that. So when engine 82 several years ago in Vermont had that incident and the truck got totaled, we went out and found a used truck that looked like it was in great shape. Had a couple people go out and inspect it. Since then, the exhaust system has fallen out of the truck. Like wasn't dragging, wasn't and it fell out. They had to do work on an air conditioner where they actually had to cut it out because it was a truck that had done some time up in the Northeast. And so everything internally was rusted, like really bad rust. And so Tanker 84 now is what they have in Pecan. That truck gets them issues all the time. Now, that was us taking a swing and trying to replace a county truck with a good, what we thought good used truck. But every truck's going to have its issues. People don't sell fire trucks unless they're ready to get rid of them for some reason. And unless we can get one out of like a Fort Worth or a Dallas where they have a truck that's for sale just because they have too many trucks and don't know where to park them. But I think even that is still going to be paying a premium for that.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking along the same lines just because of the length of time it's taking to get the new apparatus. But I know about the experience in Pecan, so
right.
Finding one that's not rusted out or at end of life or has issues is
well, I think part of what I'm saying on is yes, we did go out and we did refurb. I think it's 4 trucks now.
Yes.
So we've paid the $300,000 plus to refurb 4 of these trucks, hoping to get 10 years life out of it. At the current build process on ordering a new truck, if we order new ones at the end of this year, we'll be lucky to get those before the refurbs start having more issues.
Yeah, it's a end of life. Take that with a grain of salt, but it is. It's an end of life consideration. I mean, the trucks were built in 2000. Our refurb was done, shame on me, in 19, 18, let's call it 19, okay? So if the truck is ordered in 25, no consideration, no plug-in into the pipeline or anything. It'll be here at the end of 27 to 28. So, and we're talking with Granbury's uniqueness and being the county seat and the central hub, our call volume on these trucks are higher. We're going to average, off of my stats here, last year in 24, we had 341 responses with engine 6. And that truck is also supplemented with the county tanker 10 that we buy. And they complement each other. And tanker 10 had about the same type of call volume on it. A little bit less, but basically the same call volume. And it's because those apparatus are going to primarily go to structure fires and wildland fires. So there's not only hours on the trucks, but even for the size of Wood County, miles on these trucks. So being county seat, these trucks run a lot. So they're also going to start, they show their age. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't take care of the apparatus. We've got about $15,000 that we've spent so far on just update and repairs on all the county trucks, including tanker 10.
Well, if I can jump in, referencing engine 6, the reason I mentioned that they finally got 26 right, they actually got that one done in 7 months. They ended up paying us like $3,200 back because we had that late clause on the contract. When engine 6 was done, that truck was out of service before I believe about a year.
Yeah.
Because they were in refurb in Florida for 9 months. By the time the truck got back, it still had issues that they had to have addressed before they could even put it back in service. So I can tell you one of the reasons why we got on board with the refurbs in the first place is that was the only way we saw that we could get a truck back that wasn't running EGR or F. And so even with all the new trucks that we have on board now, they are coming with the EGR F system, which is just another system in a diesel engine that's going to create potential issues.
I know there's 8 other anxious people behind me. Any other questions for me?
You do an excellent job.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time.
Chief Bell? Hey, just so you guys know back there, you're not required to take a half hour. Come up and spit it up. Okay.
I just want to say you're going to need your reading glasses. So the reading glasses that go over your reading glasses.
Oh my goodness.
And
Thank you, friend.
this is, I'm going to let Matthew speak here, but I just want to kind of frame this just for a second. My name is Scott Bullington. I'm with North Hood County, so thank you very much for allowing us to bring this to you. There was kind of a large overview of several things from Ron and Matt. We wanted to give you an idea of what our station looks like. So a very detailed, drilled down view of what our station looks like. In the interest of time, I know that we're not going to be able to go through every single thing. And outside of here, I'd be more than willing to sit down with any of you, go over all of these line items of what these are, what these represent. I do want to say real quick that when you first look at this, and you look at the bottom and you see, wait a minute, that's a negative $278,270. Your first reaction would probably be a little bit like mine in going, oh yeah, this is just another budget blow up where, we're going to see there's a negative and everybody needs money and all that. But I just want to assure you that the items that are in here are items that are specifically are items that are specifically needed for us. For instance, all of our logging gear is outdated. That's a $30,000 purchase that we have to make this year. I do have air bottles in there, which I know that Ron had mentioned a while ago. We need 15 of them. There is also, the last couple of years, we put together 2 of our own brush trucks because we know that we need them. We know that our fleet is outdated. If it wasn't for the loan, I'm just going to point out real quick, in May of this year, we took out a loan for $103,000 ourselves, the station, to pay for a brush truck. If it wasn't for that loan, this number at the end would be $381,000 in the hole. Now granted, this doesn't include the subsidy at the end of the year. This doesn't include the Texas Forestry Service grant that we expect to get back for $103,000. But there are things in here like the lot pack that we need. Our lot pack right now is an absolute boat anchor. We need structural gear because our structural gear is going to come out of date. One thing that we're trying to do with this budget is to set up the opportunity to buy 4 or 5 sets a year and not get back in a situation where we have to buy 30 sets in a year. So this is what our station looks like. We had repairs of another brush truck earlier this year. It was $17,000. So when you look at this, again, I just want to emphasize that if we receive no other funding after May, and when you look at our budget, and you take time later on to look at it, you'll see that all the expenses that are through May and part of June are our actual expenses. Those are also our actual fundraising items and the amounts that we did through fundraising as well, where you see the income. It also takes into consideration the carryover from our subsidy last year. It was $84,000. So you can see that if nothing else changed between now and September of this year, we would run out of money at the end of September. But again, most of our purchases won't be until the end of the year when we get a subsidy because we know that we're going to have to pick up that money. So again, I kind of just wanted to frame that a little bit. I'm going to let Mike speak. And if you have any questions, like I said, over this, I'd really like to go over the details and show you because this is a very intimate picture of what it looks like for us in the weeds, in the station, when we're dealing with the business and the financing of it all.
All right, Judge, Commissioners. Yes, Scott is our financial advisor, secretary, if you want to put it that way. He keeps good tracks. Yes, it shows we're in the negative, deepest we've ever been. But he explained why. Reason being, one grass truck we bought replaced the wrecked one. The newest one is retiring a 30-year-old grass truck. The tanker that we're expecting that the county got on order will be replacing an engine that's a 96 model. So we're looking in the future. One of the things we're looking in the future with is replacing all the equipment, all the trucks, make sure it's all up to date. Just trying to stay ahead of the community that's growing. Especially the north side of town, we all know it's getting big quick. In our 5-year plan, we're expecting to put a station out on 51, somewhere in the Whipple Bay area, that will facilitate more of the equipment that we're trying to get. We're purchasing everything we can. That being said, our capital expense that we would like for a little bit of help on, or full help, is we're looking at replacing the squad for something that will carry more equipment that we need on scene. As for a 3/4 ton truck with an equipment bed on the back of it, that's in the tune of roughly $80,000. We've been getting bids on that. That's the next capital expense we're going to look at. That, gear lockers, Scott was telling you something about. the AED. We could go into the whole lot further if we needed to with some of the expenses we need to do. But all we're doing is looking at the 5-year, 10-year plan for the department, trying to stay ahead of the growth. So we're not going to take up much more of your time. Do you have any questions for us?
Do you have a sheet that details out your capital request?
The capital request that Mike made for the truck, he does have that information.
I've just got bids on that right now, so I can get you copies.
I didn't see it.
The
It might be
information-
here, I just might not be able to see it.
I know, like I said, you're reading glasses. We do have bids. I don't have copies, but we do have bids for the lockers that we need. We do have bids for the light pack. We do have bids for the bottles that we need. I will also want to point out another thing. Judge Massengill, you mentioned that we give a lot of our time for free and we deserve the best, and I completely appreciate that. I will say that in the midst of the last couple of years, I also want y'all to consider the fact that to get Brush 27 that we started in process in 2023, we took out a loan for that one as well. We paid for that out of funds, partial funds we received on a rec, I think, but we also received a partial forestry grant for it. But we still went in the hole another $45,000 with the bank, so we will make loan payments this year, and it reflects on here that at the end of the year, and First National has been wonderful to work with us to where we only have to make one payment a year after our subsidy, but we will make $36,000 in loan payments by the end of this year. And I just want to say that if we are talking about time, all of our time does have a value to it. Your time being here has a value for every hour you're here. Mine, Mike's, Ron's, everybody in this room. And one of the things that we have to look at is how much additional fundraising and fundraisers do we have to do every year to help increase and pay for these types of things. Like we need another $40,000, so we need our fish fry to come up with $30,000. We need to do another fundraiser at the end of the year to help pay for some of these as well. Well, our time really is dedicated to the training and the service of this community. But when we have to go put our time into these fundraising efforts, it's taking away from all the other things that we're doing. And I'm not saying that fundraising isn't inherent to a fire station and to community and volunteer stations, but it also puts a lot of pressure on us and it burns people out from all the other tasks and responsibilities we have to do too around the station and making calls when we're away from our families. So those are just some things that, please consider. And again, I thank you for saying what you did, because that really is a valuable thing. And the one thing that we don't have anymore of is time. And it seems like all of us are being crunched for more time day in, day out. So it becomes harder to do these types of things, especially the fundraising. Ron also mentioned earlier the fact that as firefighters that we care. I'd welcome every one of you to go to our Facebook page, North Linn County Fire Department, and look at the videos called The Faces Behind Our Why. And I think that's really just telling you the name kind of sums it up right there. It gives you a little framework as to the we care situation and why volunteers do what they do for, the disposition of humanity itself. So again, as far as the budget goes, I'm available anytime. I'd be more than happy to sit down with any one of you and go through very detailed information about where our money goes, what it is, and how it looks like we need to spend it by the end of the year. But when it all comes down to it, if we still received the $125,000 subsidy and we do get the check of the $103,000 back from the Forestry Service, we're still going to be in the whole $50,000 or however much, $60,000. I didn't even put that calculation. So if we don't receive anything else and we don't go get bigger grants, then we have to make sacrifices in, well, we're not going to get the light packs. We're not going to improve the lockers for, the safety and the well-being of our people and the morale of our people. we're not going to end up getting as many of the sets of gear as we hope to get to be able to support, our personnel for our aging gear. So those are some of the sacrifices that we have to look at. I understand that money is limited and that we all have budgets to go by, just like you do. But just please keep that in mind when you look at what these stations, us as we represent, and these other stations have to do and look at from a regular basis and a cost standpoint.
Let me ask you this, the sheet that Ron Becker gave said that these SCBA bottles, 10 per department. Do y'all department need more than 10?
Like you? 15.
You need 15?
Yes.
And you were saying that if we could get this together and give it one big order, they may give us a bigger discount. So that's what we all do need to pull together for these, the bottles and the air packs. To me, that is just, there's no room for negotiation on that. We need to get that to all the stations. So we need to get that from everybody, and hopefully we can get one big order to get them at a bigger discount on that. So this is a little shy here, then this one needs, I like the concept here and it gets us talking about it, but all of y'all need to get together and get with Jeff Young to get with these bottles and these air packs as to how many you need really, and then let's see what kind of a price we can get to get back on here.
Yeah.
Okay?
And when we did our last, we just finished our inventory here recently and realized that we did have additional aging bottles beyond the 10. So when we put it in here, we put our 15 bottles in our budget. I don't know if we got a chance to send that out with Jeff yet or not. We just got a chance because that just happened. So.
Well, you had mentioned that some needed less, some needed more, so you just averaged it out to 10. So it may still average out to 10 per if there's
What we did was we kind of went around the room. First flag, this is what you think. It averaged out to that per station. Some stations said we need less, some said we need more. And what the concept was that we found, of course, it's a moving target as to when these things expire. So if we found out that we were funded, then we fine tune our list and work within what is budgeted, but some of us will use less and some will use
yeah, so this is kind of directionally, but once we get to the funding, you'll have per station how many are needed.
Well, and keep in mind that this really is the icebreaker. So, we've got our budget hearings coming up. I didn't want to walk into the budget hearing and say, oh, and I'd like $8,000 or $8 million for fire department. And then, y'all have no idea, it's what?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I didn't want to have to leave the budget hearing and go take a drug test. So this is kind of that icebreaker. So keeping in mind, even if we said, yes, let's get all of this stuff, one of them refine the numbers of what needs what. For sure, so that we don't leave anything short. But two, we're talking about not even meeting on any of this stuff until October. Because this was going to be the capital expense request I was going to make after here.
I've got a question for Scott, clear over here. I just want to make sure I understand what you've talked about on taking out a loan. You mentioned y'all last May took out a loan for $103,000. But you expect the Forest Service to reimburse that?
So the truck itself, it was $103,475 for the truck. That's with the bed, the grill guard, tires, suspension. It'll be another $99,606 to finish out the truck with the tanks, the pumps, hoses, all that stuff, sprayers, everything. So the total truck cost is a little over $200,000. So we will only get back $103,000, which means that we have to come up with the additional money, being that we'll probably still keep that loan out, the $103,000. So yeah, we do expect to get money back from the Forestry Service, but it's going to only cover half of that truck.
And so then you mentioned something else about a $90,000 that gonna pay $45,000 a year. Is that part of that, or is that different?
That's the truck we bought the year before.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had Rush 27, we finished it out. We received partial funding for that. It cost us an additional $45,000 to finish out. We took that loan so that we didn't have to take that money out of our subsidy. And like I said, the bank is letting us make lump sum payments at the end of the year at 7% interest. So we will be making 2 loan payments to provide trucks to protect the community. So that's, we just felt that we had to do that to get it done.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Jeff, have you had any discussions with our grant writer lately about upcoming grants that may be available to fund some of the equipment that's on here?
So we've shared a couple of emails back and forth, and I've also done an introductory email, I guess, between all the chiefs and the gentleman that's doing the grant. So I've kind of encouraged the departments to speak to the grant writer directly to identify what the needs are or what the possible grants are available.
Okay, thank you.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
So when we're, and yes, on those grants, when we're looking at grants, we're typically looking at a year out or 6, there's a time period out in which, like this truck that we were just able to buy the $103,000, that grant had been out for several years.
Yeah, we put that grant in 2 years ago.
Right. So things like that we're needing this year, we can't really put into grants. Like we're looking at grants for long-term things, like when Mike mentioned that we have that vision for the building. That's where we're going to be writing our grants to try to do that to increase our retention, our response rate, our recruiting. So as much as we do want to do those grants, like I said, these are the things that we have to pay for now as well.
I'm just thinking long-term down the road.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And for maybe some of the gear that we have here, the bottles and the replacement, if those are some things that you could get a grant. Like we do some things for the sheriff's department every year where there's grants for bulletproof vests that we put in the grant, the funding, the grant comes in, the material comes in within that same year. Wow. So where there's maybe a long lead time on apparatus, maybe there's not for some of this other gear.
Right.
I mean, we might as well look at it and see.
We did, you'll see that we had a $25,000 grant that we were able to buy tools with, and again, that $103,000 for the forestry service. So that's been a big help.
Yeah.
It has been a big help.
Yeah. I was just thinking
we will be
how to get
grant
things
writer.
faster is where I was going.
Yeah, we will be using the grant writer.
Well, we'll go ahead and get you the quotes you asked for, and if you don't have any other questions, we'll thank you for your time, and we'll let Station 30.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Who's next?
Yeah. For all these volunteer fire departments, for these bottles and air packs and stuff like that, Jeff, you got to coordinate that and see what everybody needs and give that a sum total taken into account for everybody's need on that.
Yes, sir.
These essential stuff that they have to have, that's what you bring to us from all of y'all. So be sure to get with Jeff on what y'all need on these bottles and air packs and stuff that y'all really have to have, because anyway, that's
So
give us
that's part of the system. The first round of bottles that we bought and air packs that we bought for the department, the first round we just bought the packs and bottles to cover the county apparatus. So every station has 10 bottles that we bought nearly 15 years ago. They're on the last cycle. So this is part of what it is we're needing to replace is that first round of bottles that we purchased.
we got to do that. That's how I'm going to vote.
Yes.
Life-saving.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to explain that if it goes bad on us.
That's right. Well, that just can't happen. We can't let that happen at all. So please.
If we can't put people with the right stuff to go in, they don't go in.
That's exactly right.
We can't do it. Precedent Station 30, our additional capital request is, relatively speaking, a little bit on the lower side. It's already been good to us when we have that opportunity on the large brush truck. Basically, and
what we would do with it. The new building that you funded through ARPA for us to build, and several of you saw, our initial plans was that the back of that building would plug into those older buildings back there. And I know some of you've seen it. Well, when we built it, there's about a 4-foot grade there that we knew it went downhill, but not that much. So we purposely built the building where the bays would pull through, the garage door at the front and the back where you can pull through. And what we would like to do is tear those two old buildings down, have to build up and build a concrete approach, bring the trucks where we can come in either side and pull in or pull out each side and pull through. The estimate on doing that from the gentleman that built the building for us is $100,000, and we've saved up half of that, 50, so we can get the other 50 to do that. That lets us fully utilize the building that we bought with regards to the trucks. The other thing that we would like to do is the tools that we use when someone has a wreck and cuts them out, jaws of life, extrication tools. We were one of the first departments to get one of the new electric sets of tools, and that's been about 10 or 11 years ago. They don't make the kind that we have anymore. We got a set through Firehouse Subs on grant is Allegheny. And what we would like to do, we're still functional with those, but on the engines, if we can carry the smaller, what we call a combi tool, that does everything that the 3-tool set does, but it's a little bit limited, but still does 90% of the extrications that we have to do. We'd like to put 3 of those on our bigger trucks, and they're running about $15,000 a piece. So if you put those 3 together, that gives you 45, and that's where we end up at our 100,000. I've tried Firehouse Subs and the grants again, but they keep telling me no. I don't. They kind of say you already got what we can get out of you. So Preston's request over and above the stuff that we're all in for would be $100,000 to pay for half of the ability to come in the back side of the building and pull through. And also, when we double stack trucks, that means, we have to pull the first truck out, get the one behind it, and now we can go out both ways when we double stack them. And again, we think we cover half of it, you can help us with the other half, and then to help us step up a little bit with our ability. One thing that you got to do on these wrecks when we get the wrecks is if you get out there and one of these tools fails or something, I want to have a backup right then. It doesn't do any good to get out there and this thing doesn't work, and they're stuck in there and yelling at me, "Ron, get me out of here." And I said, "Well, you got to wait 15 minutes for me to get another truck over here with another tool." I like to have a backup set out there when we're doing it. And I think we can accomplish that with the combi tools.
Okay, we're going to have to keep moving here. I've got stuff to do.
There we go.
You guys will have to forgive me. My chief couldn't make it, so I was voluntold to come here. I'm a lieutenant, so I'm usually more on the operations side of things instead of the political side of things. But
Could you state your name for the record? Sorry. Yes. Okay.
I didn't hear that. What?
Trevin Pool. We had started a fund for a new Quint, which is our ladder truck. Our ladder truck is vital piece of equipment in our area. It's vital for anything from vertical ventilation on roofs to vent the fire, You search off of it. It holds most of our specialty rescue equipment, so wrecks, ropes rescue, things like that. It usually goes out because it has all that equipment for those tasks on it. We would like to repurpose the fund for that. We started a fund for a new squad. We would like to repurpose that fund for a new Quint. Ours is a 2000 model, getting old and unreliable. So 90% of our calls are medical related, and our squads are the first out truck for medical calls, has medical equipment, stuff like that, C-collars. A new squad will earn about $86,000.
86.
You know, Jeff, on each one of these departments, what I would like for you to get with them and give me a summary sheet for each. That's what I want to look at, what they need. I want it summarized rather than just talking. I don't retain all of that.
Yes, sir.
I want that and look at that. That's what I want to look at.
Okay.
So that's you
Yes, sir.
getting with each department, and like you said, we need it anyway to do the coordinated effort on everything that they need, the bottles, the air packs, goggles, whatever they need.
Yes, sir.
Let's go to, so we have one big order anyway.
So I will have a much better refined list when we do the budget hearings. I just wanted them to have some, what I was trying to avoid is me showing up to that budget hearing with that spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Of all of these things, and then y'all have a lot of questions like, what the heck is this for?
Now, from my personal perspective, I think all of them have been doing way above what their equipment and everything that we've been able to provide. They've had to do the fundraisers and everything else to keep going up here. I mean, I'm very sympathetic to your needs. I really, really am, and want to do the best for all of you fire departments. I mean, really, y'all do such a great job. I mean, it's evident with that ISO rating and everything. I mean, 2 in the nation. We're one of them, the first one. I mean, I really respect all of y'all for what y'all do.
And Matt didn't spend a lot of time on that, but that is really a big deal.
That's a huge deal. And then the training facility that we have here, and Mr. Haves was up here. Richard Haves, is that it? Hayes. I got it, okay. Up here about the training and what y'all do. Man, I'm all for that. We've got to do that, really. So.
Well, I'm sure you've heard me say it before, and I will stand behind it 100%. I would not have any hesitation in putting our fire service up against any fire service in the country.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I think that's how I feel about it. So.
Trevor, all you have is the squad?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any Harvard?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I want to see you take notes on the last name when you say it. What? I want to see you take notes on the last name when you identify yourself.
Lucky I'm doing it with my right hand.
That's how you got through law school. I mean, to high school, I know, right there. What your cheat notes on your wrist.
His name is Bob Jolliver.
The best fights I ever got in the world was somebody called me Captain Chocolate. Fighting. But thanks for having us here. I really appreciate it. Like all the other departments, we sit down a year ahead of time to do a budget. My budget got blown out of the water. As Jeff alluded to a minute ago, we get $120,000, $15,000 set aside for maintenance. I've already spent $70,000 this year in maintenance. My budget. Anyway. Capital purchases that are really, really neat. We, as you know, are moving in with Ricky to a building that we got some setbacks. We're still working on that. It's going to happen, but got some setbacks. One of the things you guys did for us was we really appreciated you bought me a boat. That boat is going to be coming in the spring. By moving from where I'm at right now to the front of the contract, it adds 7 minutes to my response time to get that boat in the water if I have it at a station. My number one request to you is I need a boathouse. I need it done. I reached out to 5 different builders here in town. The average cost is unbelievable. Apparently they made out of gold now.
$150,000 to $200,000 to get a single boat lift enclosed, because it's a boat with security issues, cameras, radios, things of that nature. I've got to keep it protected. If y'all seen the boat dock down there that BRA has with the game ones at the hill, I need a smaller version of that. The association gave me the property down there at Indian Harbor where I can build it, but if I have to respond with that boat in the new station we're going to have on Contrary, it's about a 7.5 minute response time. That's just not good. My number one capital request, I need a boat. I can get you better expenses. Right now, like I say, it's between $150,000 and $200,000. I don't have anything in paper or writing to hand to you, but I can get that for you. Number two, I'm not as eloquent as Ron or Matt that sit here and talk all day long. I'm just going to give you my marine version of this is what I need. I've got a tanker coming, I've got engines coming in the future that you requested for us. My average vehicle age in my station is 20 years old. I've got a brush truck that's 23 years old, it's down. I've got a 27-year-old engine, it's down. I've got a 26-year-old engine, the pump is down. Right now I'm operating on a rescue, which is 11 years old. One brush truck that is 15 years old. That's it. That's what I got. I need a mini pumper. I need a new rescue. And once we start 377 and 144, and Matt's cut off at the intersection, that just leaves me and Toller and Pecan to handle that side of the city and county. I need a new rescue. I need a brush truck. I need a mini pumper. We already talked about the minor stuff, such as the radios and the tanks and things of that nature. We get those involved. But for the big ticket items, I need a dock. I need a mini pumper. I need a new rescue. And the tanker and the engine are coming. I understand. Simple as I can make it. Everything in there is old. I'm going to be 76 in a month. All my stuff's catching up.
I've got another appointment I got to go to. I'm going to see that sheet, what you're going to be doing on this thing. I'm very sympathetic with all of you. Everybody needs a lot of stuff. I don't know what we're going to have to do. We may have to do a tax note and finance it or do whatever, but we can't just keep kicking this can down the road here. We just can't do that anymore. That's my perspective on it. So anyway, thank you all for coming. I know all of you, seen all of you, appreciate all of y'all very much. Please continue on.
Thanks, sir. Is there anybody from, I'm sorry, any questions?
Yeah, question. So on just to kind of put the timing in my head as far as when the new building will be finished, when you'll move there, and when you would need the dock to be completed.
I don't know if you guys, I just had a dock finished. It took 8 months to get the appointment and 3 months to get it finished. So my new boat will be here in the spring, April or March at the latest. So
next year.
I'm going to get a dock. I've got to get in line request. I've got 3 people on standby that can do it. It's just the cost.
So could you say that again? The boat will be here spring of 26?
This spring. When you guys gave me money a year and a half ago, it's a 2-year bill. We immediately got on it. In 2 days, we already had the check written, contract on it.
Okay. So the boat will be here spring of 26, and what's the timeline for building the dock?
The 2 builders that have the lines say can do it in 8 weeks, but they still need about 6 months.
6
4 to
months
6
lead
months
time.
to be able to stop what they're doing now and start basically.
Okay. So if I say 6 month lead time on
Yes, sir. By the time the boat gets here, the dock will be done if we can start with the contract. Now, you were asking about the new station. The bumps we've hit right now is the property that was given to us by the association has some water issues. The 7 acres they gave it 3.5 acres, so you can't build on it. And you understand, Jeff might be back on this. Ricky, Mr. Reeves did some kind of survey, and there's maybe a spring in some other section he needs to deal with. But we've got a backup plan for the association. if that doesn't materialize.
So they did find a spring out there. I knew that whenever we went out there and looked at it, it was kind of a concave bowl up on top of the hill, and I'm like, I never would have expected it to hold water, but I thought it was just from the rain.
We went and talked to Clint Head about it, and he's like, oh yeah, there's a spring up there. I've been handy information a year ago.
Wow, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so they're still working on trying to get up there to get the core samples drilled.
Well, the backup plan, you've been to my station. My station is where they store boats. They're willing to give me those 4 acres, move their boats to another location, which will give me egress to ports of call with gates. The same plan will work, the same thing. So that's just a backup.
Okay, so.
And I have property, I don't know if I mentioned, I have property for the boat too. They had Indian Harbor between where they have the gas pumps and the launch. They gave me that property to build a boat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Jackson, you're up.
These young Marines take notes.
Thank you for your service.
I'm gonna make mine real short and sweet for y'all. Matt Jackson. First of all, I just want to thank y'all for everything that y'all have done for us. At our station, it's made a great difference. Over the last couple of years, we've replaced tools and bunker gear, and we've got updated stuff. The only thing I'm asking for, I need a new engine. Ours was the first one to be the refurb. Second? You were the second. I was the second one to be refurbed. What I gave you a list of right now is the work that needs to be done on ours currently. I was hoping to have a quote for you with some communication errors. I wasn't able to get it. As soon as I do get it, I'll be happy to email it to you or give it to Jeff and he can get it to you. The one cost that they did give me was the air conditioning. Right now, it's going to be $4,100 to get it fixed. This is the 3rd time I've fixed it. So, I mean, really, I know we are getting a tanker with this last purchase, but last I heard, it's going to be early 27 before I get back. And we know with the lead times that everybody else is talking about on getting these trucks, I'm going to be past my refurb and not knowing how much more I'm going to spend on this engine to keep it running. That's all I have. Are there any questions?
I mean, anything that's ordered this year is going to be.
Yeah, we're still looking 2 to 3.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 years out. I want to be in the same situation as Indian Harbor when we spend half of my budget on repairs.
Well, and I would say get that estimate together.
I will.
I think that
they're supposed to have it to me by the end of the week.
Okay.
Like I said, just some communication errors between me and them. I was hoping to have it today.
yeah, I think that's an immediate need that we've got to
Right.
get you taken care of that, and then look to the future.
Yeah,
What do we do
I mean,
about
even looking
replacing
at some of the stuff, we're probably looking in the $20,000 to $30,000 to get all this stuff fixed. Just a rough guess.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Pecan Plantation.
Good morning. I've got to meet everybody.
Would you bring the mic over, please? Thank you.
My name is Juliana. I'm the Assistant Chief of Pecan Plantation Military Fire Department. With me, I have Ray Taylor, one of our captains. I'm just going to get right to the point. Obviously, all of us are needing trucks and SCDA bottles. do have a rehab that goes out. The AC is not working in it very well. It was a backup ambulance that was purchased from South Lake that we've been using. Additional equipment was SCE bottles and a life pack monitor as well. With our department, we are growing and we are starting additional calls with EMS. The life pack also will assist with rehab. This truck will also back up Granbury's air supply truck, so it can refill bottles and everything on scene. This helps with keeping firefighters going. A brush truck replacement, so we have 2 county trucks. We have Brush 86 and Tanker 84. As Jeff Young mentioned earlier, we did pull out Tanker 84. The whole exhaust system did stay in the bay. That truck is in and out of service often. Brush 86 is currently out of service with pump issues. We are getting it fixed and looking into it, but it does not stay in service very long. So I will get the repairs and costs and quotes and stuff to y'all. This email I'll also send forward. It has explanations and everything else in it. Gas detector meters, when we came in, ours have all been out of service. They have not been calibrated or anything. The gas detector meters just assist with when we go in knowing that it's still safe to go into fires or detecting anything in the environment that is not safe for us. Hydrant connections and then lapel mics for our Harris radios. Our Harris radios, lapel mics were not fire rated, and unfortunately we learned that the hard way. And it makes it difficult in fires not to be able to hear.
Well, I think that, I mean, that's why I was asking about the radios at the beginning. But the radios that are out there, just like she said, they all need to be upgraded to the fire standard mics, don't they? So all the radios that are out there for fire?
Yes.
So can you include that in your list?
I will.
Like I said, I appreciate y'all's time. I can forward the detailed outline descriptions and needs and wants and everything to y'all so you can see it. Do you guys have any requests or questions or anything from us?
I guess you're compiling this list, so if you want to
we
just
are
forward that to Jeff.
replenishing our fleet, so we do have Rescue 81. We are selling that truck to get a new truck in that has been refurbished. Hopefully we can get that truck in the next couple weeks. And then we did sell Brush 87. That was a grant truck from the Forest Service. We do have another truck that's coming in with a Forest Service grant, but we don't suspect to get that one until 2026. So with selling Brush 87, we are down to 1 brush truck right now for our coverage area. The other new truck from the county that's going to replace Tanker 84 is also not suspected to get until 2026. So although we are trying to assist with replacing our fleet, once again, everybody's issue is time.
Yes.
And unfortunately in our field, time is everything. So thank y'all.
Yeah, so that's, I guess, the big ask is, I'm trying to take notes, but I don't have any dollar figures to go with anything.
So there will probably be another email or 3 dozen back and forth between me and the departments between now and when we do the budget hearing, so that I can better refine this stuff. I'll try to get everything on a spreadsheet, broke out by department with estimates and all that.
Yeah.
And just as an update, I just heard back from Russell, the engines are expected to be mid-26. The tankers are early 27.
Wow.
So the radio situation we just heard, that's in addition to the radios you brought us?
Correct.
All the current radios that are, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I understand. All the current radios that are deployed for fire, the mics are not fire rated.
Correct.
So the mics for, what's the difference in cost between a fire rated mic and a non-fire rated mic?
This is what happens when you cut corners on radio purchases.
Yeah, but what is do you have any idea? Is it like $300 a mic, $500 a mic, $1,000 a mic?
The fire mics are, this is last year's number, were $800 a piece.
And the non?
I don't know that price.
And the fire mic is split out.
And the fire mics still melt?
They had a huge recall on the fire mics because they had a bad waterproof membrane on it.
Oh, they failed, is what you're saying. They said they melted.
So we're in the process, we have these mics, we're in the process of trying to get the recall through
cost.
Right,
Every
so
radio we have.
add the total cost to your spreadsheet,
Gosh, this is next week, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, I don't know if you're on Monday or Tuesday, but it's either Monday or Tuesday. You got
Maybe I'm on Tuesday, so
You got
the capital, I'm guessing is gonna be on Wednesday? The capital
Yes,
hearing?
you're right. And Capital's Wednesday at 11 or something like
So I
that.
have 7 days to put all this together. I hope everybody's paying
It's
attention.
just Wednesday.
I'm gonna need some detailed stuff,
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it's Monday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Monday and Tuesday, so you got Tuesday at
Well,
11.
Monday and Tuesday is our budget hearing, right?
Right.
This is the capital hearing the day after the budget hearing.
No, Capital's on
Capital's
Tuesday.
on Tuesday at 11 or so.
At the end of everyone's, okay. Okay, six days, guys. 6 days.
There's a song. 6 days on the road.
All right, Toller, you're up. Mr. Ray.
Good morning or good afternoon.
Well, not quite.
I'm Roy Wilson. I'm the assistant fire chief at Toller Fire Department. I'll try to make this short because I know everybody's getting fatigued. Sometimes those benches will get a little hard. I'd first like to thank the commissioners for the time that you're dedicating to hear from us. I know this body over the years, not just these commissioners, but commissioners in the past, have been very supportive of the fire departments. I've been on the department for 25 years. We go back to when we first bought the original pump tankers that we've been trying to refurb and go. It's when the sheriff Deeds was volunteering to the fire marshal as a liaison for us, and was able to work with our commissioners then and move things forward, and things have always gone forward. I appreciate that. As far as total, I've got just a couple of items. We're looking at, we'd like to try to get 2 of the RIT packs, it's the Rapid Intervention Team packs for extra air. The RIT team is somebody who's designed to go in and rescue a firefighter. So if they go down, you can take extra air to that firefighter, get to have hopefully a little extra time to get that person out. We would like to put those on each of our ladder trucks because our areas are mainly set up for rescue. We don't have the RIT pack of any kind. And I'm not sure that there might be only 2 or 3 departments in the whole county that even have them. Right now, the pricing I've got on those are about $6,500 a piece. As you know, we probably know we just opened a second fire station down in the Biloxi area, Biloxi and Hill City, Prairie Creek. We've got that station open and running. We've been able to purchase all the trucks for it ourselves. We'd like to try to add a set of equipment. We currently at Toller have 1 set of Hearst rescue tools, the similar items that Chief Baker was talking about, but we're wanting the 3-piece tools that have the cutter, the spreader, and the ramp. We have 1 set at Station 90, which is our Toller station. We'd like to have a second set down at Biloxi station on that ladder truck in order to for these vehicle extrications, or even to be used in other rescues if need be. For that 3-set tool Hearst, they're in the range of $50,000 to $60,000 for the set. Our other request, I think if I understood from Ms. Young that some of this may have been discussed already. I'm not sure what the status is, but if it hasn't been discussed, I apologize. I'm trying to jump ahead. We'd like to look at replacing Brush 92, which is our county-owned brush truck. I know y'all just helped out Preston with theirs. We're not looking for something as big a truck as what they've got, because each department has different needs, and so we're looking at something just to replace what we have. I haven't had a chance to look prices, but I'm guessing they're probably $150,000 for that replacement.
I bet you're 200 with inflation, because we just recently did one and it was 225 somewhere in that ballpark.
200 is a better ballpark figure for that to replace what we have now. If I was king for a day, I'd ask for 2 of them, because we have a second county-owned truck that is classified as a reserve brush truck that
time, probably 10 or 12 years ago, it was the best one left. And we took the cabin chassis and retained it. Granbury provided a bed. I think Indian Harbor provided a tank. Northwood provided a hose reel, so everybody contributed to this. And we decided to house out at Toller. And if somebody needed it, they just come and get it. But it's an old truck. It's on getting towards this last leg like we heard on a lot of trucks. So that's why I say I would like to replace. I'd like to see that replaced. If it can't be replaced, I wouldn't mind doing the same thing we did last time. Let's find if we're rotating a county brush truck out, let's find the best one that's better than this one, and see if we can't rebuild it and try to get some extra life out of it. But again, came from bad, like new one to be available to everybody. The last item that I have, and it may have been discussed also, is Engine 91, which is our county-owned pump tanker. We would like to request the county to sign over title to that, told we'll maintain it. Right now we have a pumper, a 1,000 gallon pumper, that's a 92 model at our station 91, our second station. And we're working with that. But it is a very old truck. And so we'd like to ask the county to consider possibly signing over and donating that truck to our ownership so that we can put it down there and double our water supply for that to respond to that station. And a truck that's a lot more than the current county pumper tankers. We're all discussing about how they are old, yes, but it's a lot more than what we've got now. And so we think we could probably get a little more life out of it, or at least try it.
Yeah, and I think the disposition of what we're going to do with those old, the old engines is still a little bit up in the air. And I think that's, you guys put a new station in there. I think that's a great fit for that. I don't know what those would bring for resale, but I think that keeping here for our own purposes would be a much better fit in that.
I think if you were to go put it on like a Nate Bates auction site, you're just going to get pennies on the dollar for that.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, when we were talking about buying the replacement trucks, was when the trucks came in, we were going to donate those trucks to the departments with the idea that they were then going to sell them at whatever means they felt they could sell them at, to try to support the department so they could use the funds of the truck sale to buy tools or equipment to put on those trucks. But Toller in particular, I think we had a discussion about them wanting to keep theirs so that they could move that over to Station 92 or 91. What do we call it?
It's Station 91.
Station 91.
It's Biloxi.
I'm sorry.
You said
Biloxi. Yeah.
One other thing, I guess I got one more. I don't have a cost on this. This is probably something maybe the next round. These new tankers and pumpers that are being ordered won't be here until 2026 or 2027. Is to be able to consider the equipment that goes on, the supply lines, the hand lines, the nozzles, the ventilation fans, saws, things like that. Those are all start turning into big ticket items when you start putting all that stuff together. I don't know that's something we need to do right now because I'd rather wait to throw that out there as good as the back part. But that's all I have for total. Thank you.
Thanks.
So with that said, here in the next several days, I will try to get all of the specific needs onto a spreadsheet. I'll see if they can provide some type of estimate on what that's going to be, and try to give you a more clear picture by the time we do the budget period.
Anybody else got anything?
we're going to be busy for the next 3 days.
Yeah, not like I had anything else to do.
I guess that's the answer is no, there's nothing else. Anybody else got anything to add before we shut it down? Something you forgot to say, or anybody? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
6 days, guys. Get on. Get some emails.
Thank y'all. Took up 2 hours, 15 minutes to hear the back.
Just walk through it because you couldn't tell if your mic was on. At the beginning when you started talking, is this mic on? I said, I don't know. So I walked over